welcome, and thank you very much, Blake and the Todd team, for bringing us all together and making sure it works. I feel so privileged to be able to start this event as your new CEO. Obviously, we all wish it was face-to-face, and I'd desperately love for us all to be in Perth, particularly without lockdown. But we are Mapians and we do what we need to do and we persevere, and we're really so fortunate to have such a talented organisational team, the best in the country in my view, to be able to take us through the next 2 days, not just in terms of the incredible talent they have around bringing people together, but also to be able to work this technology and to make it happen and use it in such a skillful way is going to make the best of the virtual program that we can have and keep everyone safe and comfortable at the same time. So I don't want to focus too much on me and our recent change of CEO. And I have put some notes together because I am notorious for going over time. So there's some specific things I guess I would like to talk to you about in the role of CEO. And I'm also conscious that most of you are probably wondering what the change means for you. And I think it's important that I do give you a little bit of background on me, particularly for those of you who haven't worked as closely with me in the past. You're probably wondering if I have any idea what I'm doing. I feel that way sometimes too. So we're going to I'll share a little bit about my experience. And also, I think even more importantly for all of us, what my vision is for the business, and obviously how that fits into the broader vision of the owners and the board and where we're going. And of course, that's just the start of that conversation, and it's one we need to continue to talk about on a regular basis. Before I get into that, I would like to thank all of you, and I haven't been able to respond to all of the amazing, lovely messages that I've received internally and externally. It's very encouraging and supportive, and that's what I expect from Mapians in our community, because you're such great people. And as I said, I feel very privileged to have the opportunity to lead such talented people. I will always remember that my first week as a CEO was in lockdown, just the way everybody wants to start. But I have these beautiful flowers from Mapian to keep me bright and cheery in the lockdown in my first week as CEO. And I also received this, and I see some people have noticed it. This awesome balloon that I received, which is pretty cool. And that was from Ash, Faria and Beck Hall, that really made my day this week. And I wanted to particularly point that out because this really thoughtful gift from the team that I work most closely with reminded me, I guess, of what I think the day-to-day experience is for most people in the business. And that is that the people that you're surrounded by every day, whether it's your actual team or the physical people that you're around every day, I'm sure make you feel special and valued, and you feel connected to them. And time again, the feedback, and you'll see it in our engagement survey when we share the results today, but exit interviews, every connection that we have with our people tell us that the thing they love the most about Mapian is the people. And that's fantastic. But I want to take it one step further. And over the next 2 days, what I want to start you to feel is that kind of connection beyond your immediate team or the people that surround you each day. It's time for us to really feel connected in the way that we did. And for those of you who were fortunate enough to be at the face-to-face One Team conference in March 2019, which was just after the merger, for those of you who are relatively new, that incredible feeling we can achieve of being one team that's really connected together, one Mapian team. And so it's clear, I guess, from general feedback and from the engagement survey, but that we have lost some of that feeling. And that is understandable. it was the honeymoon period. We've had the tyranny of distance and the impact of COVID during that time. Actually, I'm just realizing, in terms of the slides, do I have control? That's probably something.
I can give you control if you'd like, Nadia.
That would be great, Ian. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Let me. Not if you're not a co-host, unfortunately. What I might do is
co-host, but I think it's because you're both co-hosts.
Yeah, right.
Hang on, I can request remote control.
Right, there you go.
Great. Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah.
Yep, perfect.
Okay.
It's all yours.
It says I'm controlling 2 screens.
Bam. There you go. You can do it now.
Okay. Why aren't you working?
There you go. There you go. That's it.
Aha. Anyway, I'm going to skip over this one. So what I'm wanting you to ask you, I guess, as I was saying, it's really about creating that one team feeling. And what I'm wanting you to focus on is creating that connection beyond your teams, between the teams and between offices. And that means approaching everyone with the assumption of positive intent, that everyone has the best interests of Mappian at heart. And again, when you see the feedback in our survey, that is very clear. Everyone shares our values. Everyone's very committed to the organisation. We all have that same interest and passion. And so it's a matter of saying, I know their intent is right, and I want to work with them and have each other's back. These are some really cool snow monkeys that I met in Launceston recently, and I thought they were a really good example of having each other's back and taking care of each other. So as I said, it is understandable that with the tyranny of distance, this has been more difficult. And, as I said to the Perth team when I spoke to them last week, if I could, I would jump on a plane and be there today. It's not possible, but we can't use that as an excuse, because if we can't create that feeling when we're physically apart, then we can't be the successful national consulting business that enables success through its people. We can't be the thing that we were born to be as an organisation. And even worse, we can't show other businesses how to do it. And, ultimately, that's what we're trying to achieve with our mission. Our purpose is to create workplaces where people are successful because of their people and the relationships that we help them create. So I'm not going to allow that to happen in our business. I'm going to make sure that we create that connection again, and that we can sustain it and help others sustain it, so we can achieve our purpose and our vision. So over the next 2 days, we will start to do some of that groundwork to re-establish that cross-team cooperation, build better relationships, and hopefully start to have a lot more fun together. And I know that our Todd team will make sure that it is fun along the way. But it is going to require some courage. And courage is a core value of Mappian. And that means having difficult conversations that we need to have, and also addressing any elephants in the room. And a lot of the content and processes that we're going to go through in the next couple of days, they're going to start to invite us and make us feel more comfortable to do that, and also give us the skills to do that really well. So in the next 2 days, I ask you to be courageous and start to have those conversations, and also use it as an opportunity to open up and share what you see as the challenges within the business and the challenges you're facing, or that you see others facing. To get you warmed up on the courage factor and ready to connect with other Mappians, I want you to now pick one word that describes how you're feeling today, and pop it. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, Ashley. We can learn things from the All Blacks, and I'll get to that. Yeah, so I want you to pick one word that describes how you're feeling about today, and I want you to pop it in the chat section. I will continue to talk as you do that. I'm going to share, be courageous and share my one word to give you an example. Now I've lost my screen, it's gone black. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear. Let me stop sharing. I'll share it again and then give you control again, Nadia.
Okay, good.
Sharing.
We got lots of comments coming in though, so
Yeah, you can see, you can start to share your thing. So my word is terrified. There's no pressure in being a brand new CEO and running a digital conference, right? So it's good. You're all writing wonderful, positive words, but it is okay to write words like dread because you can't stand the thought of sitting in front of a computer for 6 hours, or you know, afraid or nervous or tired or whatever it is. You know, be courageous and say how you really feel. Nervous and excited, that's the same. Same for me, Lisa. Okay, thank you very much, Ian. So keep putting in those stretched, yep. But keep putting in those words, and I'm going to keep talking. So I guess in the spirit of courage, I'm going to raise, and elephants in the room, I'm going to raise a matter that no doubt is probably going around on the MapD chat. I know we all have our grapevine, and that's good. That empowers our connections in our business. But I think one of the things that is probably going around is Steve leaving, and also why so quickly. And I think it's natural type of work we do. We're naturally suspicious about how people exit organisations, and usually if it's done with speed, MapD might have had something to do with it, right? So I'm going to call it and say very clearly, Steve was not asked to leave the business. It was very much his decision and his initiative. There's no breakdown on the board. There's no negative issue around that motivated Steve to leave. There's no problem with the business. Steve simply decided that he lost his passion for leading the business at this time in his life. And he's the kind of person, this is what we would expect from all leaders in the business, who felt that if he couldn't give the business the leadership it needed, he needed to exit stage left, and he couldn't pretend. He wanted to be an authentic leader, and that meant going quickly and making space for the next leader. I think if any of you have read Legacy, which is James Kerr's book about what they allege to be the most successful sporting team in history, and I know I'll get shouted down by all the rugby fans in the room, but it is a really interesting book about the culture behind the All Blacks and the particular leadership approach that they take. And I know that Steve is a really big fan of this book, and so if you've read it, it will give you some insight into why he decided to leave so quickly. The key part of it, I think, is that their philosophy is that you should quit while you're winning. So they will take, if they have a captain who is leading the team to victory on multiple occasions, they will take that captain out and appoint a new leader, because their belief is you should change while you're at the top, not when you start to decline in terms of your performance. And so that I think really summarizes Steve's decision to say, no, I'm out, it's time for a new leader. So that leaves me in the hot seat. And the board's decision to appoint me was based on my experience in the business. Yeah, my experience in the business, in business more generally, my vision for the business, and I guess particularly my focus on culture and leadership and the need for transparency and communication, and focus on values and how we do what we do, which is very much what they would like to see us focus on. So just in terms of my background, like what skill, if at all, do I have to lead this business? So I studied industrial relations and Bachelor of Laws. I started at Livingstone's before I even graduated, so at the age of 20. So I have been in the business for 23 years this year. And I didn't really understand what industrial relations was, but I learnt from the best. So I sat outside Rollie Livingstone's office and I trained to be an industrial relations specialist. 7 years after starting, I became an associate director with my own team, and I built a fantastic team with the help of people like Joshua Shingles, who was my second in charge for a number of those years. We had a 5-person consulting team, and then Joshua went off and started his own team, which was really exciting and is obviously very successful, continues to be very successful in the business. It was around the time I became a team leader and associate director that I decided to study an executive MBA, because I felt that having been in one organisation for that amount of time, I didn't really understand other businesses as well as I could. And in order to understand how to run our business, but also to work with our clients and understand their context, I needed to understand general management. So that was fantastic. And then my dream, which I think this dream emerged a week after I started in the business. I laugh because I'm just remembering that I think I cried for the first 3 weeks of starting in Livingstone's, because I was working for this incredibly challenging manager who later became my husband, Alex Sestrovogas. And yet, despite that, and this to me kind of summarizes that kind of excellence in Livingstone's and now Mappian, and it's very much come through SHR as well, because we were like twin companies, is that despite that, the crying was because I was being challenged so much, and it was that amazing challenge and excellence that made me want to be an owner. And so I had this dream of becoming a business owner and director of Livingstone's and Mappian, and it came true 14 years ago for me at the age of 30, which was extremely exciting, obviously. And by that time, I had taken over much of the branding and marketing oversight in the business. And that's continued to very much be a huge part of my passion in the business, and the part I love to lead. Prior to the merger, I also spent 5 years as head of strategy and business services for Livingstone's. We were a $6 million business at that time, and I pretty much had all of the responsibilities of the CEO in terms of overseeing the strategy and running the business shared services. So I understand the mechanics of the business and everything that needs to occur in that respect. We just have a larger business and obviously more complex operations now. In addition, I mean, you could say, and it would be fair to say, well, you've been in one business all your life, or your professional life, don't need to understand other businesses, which is a fair comment. I have got 7 years experience as a non-executive director on independent boards as well. I've deliberately sought out that opportunity. I've continued to do a lot of professional development that has involved directly getting involved in mentoring other business owners and talking to other business owners about their businesses. And of course, having been a consultant all that time, I have worked in nearly every single industry. If you yelled an industry at me, I'm pretty sure I could remember a job that I've done in that industry. And so obviously, as you know, being many of you in the consulting space, we just get that huge exposure across so many industries. So I think, in essence, my passion is basically the purpose of Mappian, which is that the success of a business is driven by how you treat your people and how you motivate and encourage and helping those people be a success will enable your business. And I particularly am passionate about that in owner-manager businesses like ours, where the passion is really driven by those leaders within the business who work within the business and own the business. so that you get a complete alignment between what you're trying to achieve and the people running the business. So now you want to hear, and because Blake, I am going over time, sorry. Now you want to hear about my vision for the business. So I've talked quite a bit about the purpose, why we exist as an organisation. The next question is, where are we going? This is a beautiful horizon photo that I had from our recent holiday in Tasmania. You'll hear me talk a lot about travel, which is convenient given the themes behind Mappian, and we're all about navigation and direction and where we're going. So, you know, I think for all of us, we need these times out, whether you love camping or spending time with family or whatever it is, to reflect on where you want to go and how you fit into the broader business, and opportunities like this for me. When I'm sitting on a balcony on the Tamar Valley and looking out at a view like this, I think, okay, so we have this vision that's on our website that says we will be the most trusted bespoke people consultancy in the Asia Pacific. And then I'm like, wait, we already are. We are the most trusted bespoke specialist people consultancy in the Asia Pacific. You could not find another business in the Asia Pacific that has our talent, our breadth of skill, and our, you know, there's plenty of businesses that have, you know, teams of people specialists, but they don't have the ability to make the impact that we do. They don't have the ability to design specific interventions that make a real difference to our clients and really enable their businesses. So we're already there. The challenge for us and where we need to go next is about making sure we can impact as many people as possible with that capacity to deliver the difference. So my vision of how we continue to impact more and more businesses and enable the success of more and more people in their workplaces is to create a more scalable business where we continue the quality and excellence and integrity of what we do as we scale. So there's a number of action items for us over the next 5 years that I see we need to achieve. The first one is removing the friction. So whether it's friction between people or it's the friction created by sitting waiting for World Docs to load, or crying because your document just got lost because World Docs lost its connection. I don't mean to focus on World Docs, but we know it's a daily challenge at the moment that we're trying to fix. And I know that there's so many other examples of friction that makes your job, every one of you, your job harder and take longer than it should every single day. So my mission, and particularly empowered through Buzz, will be to support you to remove the friction and make all of our lives easier so we can do the great work that we need to do easier, simpler, and that means more profitable because we can do it faster. The next component, and you know, we'll be working on all of these things at the same time, but they also act as platforms to support the next stage of the vision. The next one is completing the jigsaw puzzle. So when we first announced our merger and had our one team conference 2 years ago, I used the analogy of a jigsaw puzzle when talking about why we had merged. And it was because if you looked at a map of Australia and you looked at where we were physically located as existing businesses, where the industry specializations were, where the work types that we had were, whether it's migration or organizational development, etc. Each of us as businesses separately had all these missing pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. So that was the goal. so far we've jigsaw pieces, and there's some great wins even just last night. Connor and Mark Hudson looking for someone to fill in for a client. Ben comes in, yep, Talia's available, she can do it very quickly, and that, yep, there's a jigsaw puzzle filled in right there. But there's so many other missing pieces that we can share with each other. And unfortunately, the merger process being held up for legal reasons and for technology reasons has meant it's been harder to do that. And the friction has been there that has stopped us from sharing our jigsaw pieces. So that is going to be another key focus in the next 5 years or shorter time frame. I'd like to see those jigsaw puzzles filled in. The next one is technology, and whether you love technology or not, it is with us forever. And if we do not engage with technology to power our business better, we will fall behind. So for me, it is about not creating or using technology for technology's sake, but it's about embracing the technology that is available to supercharge what we do. So a great example is a robotic automation process. Some of you will start to glaze over, but imagine this scenario. I have a, I know, Marie, I know you've been charging forward with the technology experience, but and we all have technology experiences, challenges every day, but we've all had, I'm sure, glimpses into how technology can really help. One of them for me that's really helped me see how we can empower our business with technology is that when I go to my GP, I get, before I go, they send me a link to a chatbot, and the chatbot says, "What are you seeing your doctor for?" And I put a script, and they say, "What is it?" And the chatbot says to me, "What's the script for?" And I say, pain medication. And they say, "What's the name?" And I say, "Polexia." And they say, "Immediate release or slow release?" And this is all driven by a chatbot who has been trained to say, okay, if someone answers this way, then these are the questions you ask. And it's just a process that you build in. You could do it without technology, but it's way too big. So we make a robot deliver it. And so by the time I get to my doctor, she already knows what I need, and it's a really quick conversation. I don't have to explain myself every time, and it makes the experience for me a lot easier. And also the doctor has shorter consultations and can fit more people in. So think about that as a consultant. Imagine when a client rings you with a question, you've already done the research because you already know what the issues are that they're going to be asking you. You can give them faster service and have their answer more accurate and know the answer on the spot. So that's the kind of thing we will be looking to enable the business with. And that's just one example of where we need to be going in the future. All of the three things that I've talked about so far will then enable us to replicate the scale. So what I mean by that is if we're going to grow and maintain our excellence and our culture and our personality of who we are, we need to be able to build new offices and new places and new teams who do things the way we want them to do. And the only way to do that is make it easy for them to replicate what we do. And so setting up the systems, the processes, completing the jigsaw puzzle, removing the friction, using technology will help us do that. And at the same time, it will increase the value of our business, which delivers value to all of our stakeholders. And then finally, if we are going to be the premier people consultancy who is going to change the world by enabling businesses through people's success and enabling people in those businesses to have their own success, we need to be educating the world on how to do the people stuff right. And the way to do that is through the MapD Institute. Working title, but you get the gist. We need to be the leaders of our industry, and leadership is one of our values, and that includes being the thought leaders and educating not just our clients, but the whole industry, so that if anyone wants to know how to do the people stuff, they look to Mappian. The same as they look to Deloitte for strategic planning, or they look to Boston Consulting Group to do innovative change. We need to be the guiding force in terms of thinking and process and outcomes in relation to people's success. So that's my vision for the business. And what that means is that we need to continuously learn and review and reflect on what we're doing to make sure what we're doing is the best it can be. I think often as professionals, we focus on our technical skills and the delivery for our clients and what we're doing in that space, and how we do, the output of what's required for our functional jobs. But being the best we can be also means reflecting on who we are and being the best that we can be in how we interact with others as well, and seeking to understand others in order to do that. And I will commit to you that I will continue to learn as the CEO and as your leader, and to continue to improve not only the business, but my conduct within the business and my behaviour in the business. And so I want to hear from you directly about how I can improve and how I can help others to improve within the business, including you. I'll give you an example of my commitment to learn from others. This is my son, Atlas. He's at that wonderful age of 4 where he's not afraid to say what he thinks and be who he is. You can see him celebrating himself one sunny morning in Hobart here. And a recent interaction I had with him while we're away. He came to me, he was already dressed, and he came to me with this warm shirt, merino shirt. And he said, "Mummy, can I put this on?" And I said, oh, that's dear. It's so warm and it's very cold outside. What you'll have to do is go back to Daddy and get him to take your shirt, then you can put it on. But that'll be okay. You're okay with that? And he looked at me and he said, "Okay, did you say yes or no?" And it just spoke to me in terms of saying, sometimes I spend too much time trying to be empathetic and to explain my reasons as to why I'm doing something, and I talk too much, and I just need to say yes or no. And I'm prepared to take feedback from a 4-year-old, so I'm prepared to take feedback from any of you. And I ask you along the way to give me that kind of direct, candid feedback, and I will work as hard as I can to deliver on that for you.